Hello, welcome everyone. Another evening of webinars of the Akshwani Hæck. Today, after the technical content and the technical workshops, we're going to go for a more product approach, because oracles are such a powerful feature that the imagination is the only limit. But the risk here, when the imagination is the only limit, we might end up with solutions in search of problems and not the opposite way. So for making sure that this is not happening in the Akshwani Hæck, we have the luck of counting with Gustavo Segovia, who is an expert design thinking facilitator with a vast amount of knowledge about all things blockchain, use cases, decentralization, decentralized autonomous organizations, and so on. So he will be sharing with us some tips and techniques to do yourself or together with your team to make sure that you identify problems that are real problems for which people are willing to use and even to pay for them, and not products that no one will use. So without any more ado and any more delay, please, Gus, the stage is yours. You can start sharing your product design wisdom with the participants. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot to you, Alex. Thanks a lot to the invitation. I'm always happy to come to the Aeternity family and not only share some knowledge, and please thank you for your wonderful words. And I'm some humble about it, but thank you. So yes, hackathon. We love hackathon. We love building stuff in hackathon, or we love building products in hackathon. What is the purpose of hackathon? Just build things right, or build the right thing. So this is basically what this talk of today is gonna be about. Not so much about building things right, but how to focus and how to make sure that we will be building the right thing. Those previous steps before we go into work and coding and go, I don't know how many hours in front of your computer writing down some code. And the talk of today will be about those steps before. How should we prepare that things that we are willing to work on, and even so, how should we communicate as a team the right thing that we want to build? Because also when you solve one very frequent problem is that in hackathons is that people are having like different ideas or different ways to approach a certain thing. Because we are different people and we live in different worlds, we belong to different cultures, we have different ideas in mind and different ways to express that. So if we don't communicate well, if we don't have like a visual basic of what we will be doing or any kind of other things, it's not that likely that we will end up building the right thing in our hackathon. So a little bit presentation about myself. Besides what Alex introduced me before, I don't know what else to say. I've been in the blockchain space for the last 5 years so far. Time is going fast. And yes, I'm specializing not only on design thinking, but also in community building, a lot of in education, but helping teams to build the right products is one of my passions that I want to share with you all. We are very few today. That's cool. So let's make this more a conversation. I will love you if you guys will interrupt me during this speech. I have this thing that I love to talk a lot by myself, and you will see that. But I love even more if I got interrupted, if I got challenged, if I have any question or any comments or whatsoever. So please just jump in and go on. Let me share with you my screen. Just 1 second. Let me see what is happening here. Okay, so this is not working. I'm coming. I promise you, I'm coming. Cool. So let me share my cam once again. And can you confirm you're watching my screen? You see the whole thing now?
Yes.
Cool. So yes, it's about the talk of today is called like this: product and ecosystem, collaborative design. Why ecosystem? Because blockchain. Blockchain are cool. Blockchain are platforms to build ecosystem, to build incentive models, not only to build products like we are used to see in the Web 2 scenario, but we can go beyond. So I'm also dedicating the second part of the text only to ecosystem thinking. Okay, so first of all, what is a product? This is a very organizational definition, but I like to start with this. A product is a link between a market and organization. It's something that people build. Well, here you see this like I don't know, like executive things. I'm thinking right now that I should look for more hackers, but whatever. So the organization or the hackers needs to do some research, need to have a little bit idea about what people need. Okay, we need to focus on needs. It could be a need for people, for the market. You need to identify who your market is. Maybe your market is aeternity itself. Maybe your market is another stakeholders around the aeternity ecosystem, because also these people that we're working around, they have special needs, and this kind of hackathons is a very well opportunity to go and solve their needs. And how we solve that with a value proposition. We need to assure that what we will build will be valuable by the people receiving that product. And of course, they will give you money, they will give you data, they will give you some kind of source which to which you can just continue all your products. So there is a big difference that there is a big thing that is important to realize, that sometimes when we don't empathize with the market, we don't know what we're building, but we just build things because we think it's the right thing to do just from our biased perspective. You are not building a product. You are just building a stuff. I don't know if you remember this guy Clippy from Microsoft Word in the 1990s, which was very annoying, making worse the user experience in Word. It was like a big mess for Microsoft because no one liked that. And still, it was there. So let's try to avoid building this kind of stuff. And moving beyond, we need to also be aware of where we are. We are within the Eternity community. There are a lot of needs. There are a lot of priorities within here. And we need to also be very involved with the culture that we are here. What is the vision of Eternity? What is the mission? What these guys wants to do? and avoid to, I don't know, deliver something like this. This was something that happens also in the 90s when Colgate wanted just to expand their business, and they thought, well, let's sell some frozen foods, and why not beef lasagna with the big Colgate thing there. That was a mess. They're only didn't lost this lasagna thing, but also the toothpaste itself start to decrease in selling. So don't build stuff just because we think this is the right thing. No, do some research, move around, ask. If you don't know aeternity, be involved with the community, try to be empathetic with everyone, and build things that they will need. So how do we do that? Well, we have, again, looking the product as a link between market and organization. We need to be aware of different things. First of all, of who we are approaching with this thing that we are building. Who are those guys? What are their needs? What are their feelings? What are those needs that are not very well served? And focus on that. Then focus on your value proposition. What is that thing that your customers will see and realize that, yes, this will actually solve me a lot of problems, or this will actually not solve problems, but this will bring me a lot of benefits. Okay, so if you are solving a problem, if you are creating wealth, if you are creating benefits for your market, for your customers, you are in the right path. After you define that value proposition, well, cool. Let's see what are those features that we should deliver in order to fulfill that value proposition. How many are there? When we are in a hackathon, we need to be very pragmatic. Okay, when you because you don't have enough time, because hacking conditions are not that easy. So even if you can envision a very big and ambitious value proposition that you want to pitch in your hackathon presentation, that's cool. It's very cool to go to hackathon presentation and speak about the vision, about how this will solve every kind of problems in the industry. Okay, but when you will focus on building your feature set, please remember that you don't have so much time, and remember that there will be a demo, and that needs to work well. So choose your feature set very wisely in order to assure that you select the minimum things that you can deliver with the highest quality. Okay, this will maximize the chances of winning any hackathon. The feature set. And the UX, well, the UX is like the top of everything. When you face a final customer, this is how you communicate directly with them. This is involving what they will see, how they will feel, and so on. In the context of the hackathon, usually a very nice mock-up is okay if you have a good designer in your team. And I don't know, it usually depends of the jury that you have. So also another tip there, try to do some research about the jury, what they like, and if they are UX guys, so well, give some time and give some effort to deliver a good graphic design, a good user experience, even if it's a mock-up. So what are in a very big level, what are those two phases that we need to afford when we are designing and deploying a product? Well, the first part is very chaotic, because if we are starting something from scratch, usually there is no clarity about what is that thing that we should be building. Sometimes you will face, maybe you're belonging to a team that have their ideas very clear, because they have been working on those and they have been thinking about it for a while. So they're just taking the opportunity to come to the hackathon, and they already know what to build. So they start in this cycle. They build, they measure, and they learn. Even within a hackathon, you can go through this cycle many times. Okay, usually, well, it depends of the time that you have, but this is what we call product iterations. We build, we see if that's working, we learn, then we change what is not working, and then we improve what is that. But if we don't have that idea, we need to face this chaotic effect that I'm talking about, which is the design thinking. That is just brainstorming, making evaluations, going here, going there, making a lot of assumption, validating assumption, testing assumption, asking people, not asking people, work together again. I don't know if this is feasible. Well, let's see if this is feasible. Oh no, I don't know. So this is what we call design thinking, which we are going to explain right now, and I'm also going to deliver you guys, to share with you guys a lot of tips, a lot of tools, a lot of dynamics and methodologies that will help you guys and your team, again, to take decisions on what kind of features we should be focusing on, what kind of features we want to deliver in this hackathon. So the same thinking is this thing that came out from Tim Brown. He was the classic Silicon Valley consultant. And he came across with these methodologies in which he realized that a lot of industries were also delivering their product in a top-down way. They didn't care about their markets. They just were like wealthy people in their wealthy offices and just deciding things like, yeah, let's build this. You know what I mean? And Tim Brown proposed a total different approach. Guys, this is not the way. There are designers in the space, like, I don't know, graphic designers, industrial designers, even chair designers, that they have already this methodology to do their stuff. They are very creative in creating the different products they do. So why don't we take this learning from designers and apply that to the different business needs, to the different product needs? And he started to start this movement. The same thing is more a movement than anything else, that we can define as a human-centered approach to innovation. The whole purpose of the same thinking is to innovate. This approach will draw from designers' toolkit to integrate the need of people, the possibilities of technologies, and of course the requirements of the business, the requirements of the people that are demanding us some success. The people that just want to profit, if we are talking about a profit initiative, or the people that just want to create a better world, a more sustainable world. Not everything needs to be focused on business. We can also focus on sustainability, on charity, but on doing things better. So there are like 3 big areas or dimension of design thinking, which we will always be working combining themselves. Most of the people coming to hackathons come from the technology mindset. Okay, they are analysts, they are engineers, they know very well about programming methodologies, about algorithms, and about stuff, but they don't have idea about markets or business. So to these people that are very techy, we need to enforce somehow. We need to enforce, is not the word, sorry, but we need to promote these people. Look, yeah, technology is very cool because you will make this happen. You will tell me what is feasible, what is not, but there is more. We can't do things just for the sake of technology. The same with business. You can't do things just for the sake of earning profits or just for the sake of reducing costs. Okay, you need to take care about what is feasible from the technology point of view, and also what is desired from the user point of view. What kind of usage your market will give to the thing that you are building. So as long as we have these 3 things always in mind when we are designing a product, when we are breaking down features and deciding priorities, we will be maximizing the chances of building the right product. I don't know, guys. I've been talking already, just myself, 25 minutes. If you guys have any question, want to interrupt me, if you think I'm doing okay, if I'm not doing well, you tell me. I'm talking by myself, by the way. Can you give me feedback that I'm not here alone?
We're listening.
Cool. So I assume everything's going right. Let's move on then. So when we are in approaching the same thinking techniques, we will be also switching from different modes. What does this mean? That, well, I'm going to present like different methodologies, different activities for doing this, but usually we will be focusing only on one area. I mean, what are we doing with these activities? We need to be very, very clear about what we are doing. What is the purpose of what we are doing right now? We want just to gather information from the users, so we empathize with them, try to understand what kind of challenge we are approaching, or we are more in a definition mode in which I'm just willing to articulate very well a problem that I want to solve. This is very important, because if we don't understand the problem that we are solving, then we are not solving anything. We are solving anything. So we need to articulate that very well and be sure that the whole team is acknowledging the problem in the same way that you do. after you have a problem very well defined, so cool, we are starting an ideation mode. This is very fun. This is the part more fun of the fun, because we are promoting our creative brain to jump in and just be a child and just start proposing things with no judgment, because in the ideation phase, there are not wrong ideas, there are not good ideas either. It's just about ideation. It's about throwing out whatever it's coming to our brain in the moment. And yes, after that, well, there is prototyping. Prototyping is like the part more important in the hackathon. I will say that 90% of the hackathon is about prototyping. And guys, if you have any chance to test with real users your solution and gather some feedback with them after you build this prototype, and you can use that to improve your prototype during the hackathon. Or if you don't have time, if you can also gather that feedback from your users, and also when you're pitching your product, your prototype after the hackathon, it's also important to share what kind of things you have discovered during the test phase, because it's also important that you show that you are willing to engage somehow with real users, and you are validating your ideas with people that will use your software. Sometimes your user will be, I don't know, final user, but it also can be a client, a service provider. I don't know if aeternity is like proposing very specific challenges there, but if you also identify in the jury or in the aeternity team people that will help you out to validate your ideas, or even they will test your idea if you have the time, so do that, because it's very important. This process will be always very iterative. Okay, this is just a different representation of this, maybe breaking down in some other part, but it's okay if you are moving from understanding to prototyping to ideation to, well, what will be the storytelling about this, and try to also, when you're doing this with your team, be sure that you are all on the same page. Okay, it's cool to go from one to the other, but it's important that you all are following that path. If some people are talking with an understanding mindset, while another guy is already thinking about the prototype, or another guy thinking about storytelling, and you are in the same meeting talking about stuff, be careful, because it's very likely that you guys won't be understanding each other. So again, ask yourself, guys, okay, cool, what are we doing right now? What are priorities? Are we just observing the market and analyzing that, or we just want to ideate and be all on the same page? The requirements. What do we need to have with the requirement? Well, of course, people. We need people working around an idea. We need, if you have different profiles, if you have diverse people among your team, that will be very cool, because you will be aggregating information from different experience, from different perspectives, so the end product will be more richful. You need some tools, the tools that I'm going to share here today. And not only, internet is a vast source of information. You have a lot of things in internet. After you watch this talk, well, you can go there and do your own research. Well, I just want to, I don't know, a methodology for ideation that is not just a brainstorming. So these are the kind of tools that we are talking about when we are talking about the same thing. And also, I don't know if you guys are in the same space, if you have that log, well, also try to use Post-its. This is the best tool ever. Look, more Post-its. Yeah, I'm full of Post-its here. But if you're not, try to choose some channels, some communication platforms that you guys are comfortable with. But not only, you need also to choose collaboration tools. Where are you sharing your code? GitHub is usually the obvious answer there. But where are you sharing your ideas? That's a different question. Because ideas are data. Ideas is something untangible that is in the air, is in the mind of people, and need to be communicated somehow. But please don't expect that just verbal communication is enough, because it's not. It's not. I'm sure that most of you have had many talks, many meetings in which you decide stuff with your teammates, and then 2-3 days after, dude, you are doing a complete different way that what we did. Yeah, but I understood that. So try to document the things that you are doing. I don't know if you guys want to use HackMD or Google Docs or whatever you guys like, but also some kind of visual tools. You will use, I don't know, Google Slides or Miro or any kind of digital board that is around there, so you can share your things there, and everyone have like this same source of information. And of course, a very powerful attitude. When we are designing, remember that the slides about that very chaotic lines. There will be moments in your design phases in which you just want to quit it all because no one is understanding, because it's difficult, because this is a chaos. I'm talking about this, he's talking about that. I want to do this, but the other want to do the opposite. So be brave here, okay? Be brave and be confident that even if you are facing some conflict during this design phase, everything will be well, and at the end of the day, if you just follow the process, okay? If you just follow the dynamics and the things that I'm going to share here today with you. Okay, try to be as visual as possible. Again, use whatever kind of tool that you like. Here I'm just placing Miro as an example, but it's not the only. Figma, there are a lot of dashboards and storyboards online that you can use for free. So make sure that you're just using something that is comfortable for everyone there, and in case some of you need to face some learning path in doing this kind of tools, well, do it because it will worth the effort at the end of the day. So yeah, the double diamond dynamic. This is my favorite tool for design thinking because it's summarized very well what this whole process it's about. This is very in line with this slide here, but here is more like systematic because it's more easy to understand in what phase we are doing and what kind of things we can allow to ourselves to do. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean that I'm allowing myself to do things in one kind of activity and not in another kind? So it's depends of the objective that you have in the moment that you are working on. So if you are just getting together with a team and you don't have idea about what kind of things that you are building, so basically you are departing from a point A and you want to arrive to this point B, in which in the point A you don't know what could be what you will be working on, but in point B you just don't know, you are sure about what you should be delivering. Okay, so the first part is a discovery phase, is a phase in which we are starting to analyze a challenge that we want to tackle, and you start to doing some research about the challenge. And it's okay if you diverge, yeah, if you enter in like a diverging phase about that, depending of course of the time that you have. But if you do as much as research as you can and ask a lot of questions about the problem, even if you think that has nothing to do with what will be delivered, then it's okay. Just this is a process of aggregating information with no judge, just aggregate, because then in the definition phase we will start to converge that information. You will start to synthesize. My English sucks today. Sorry about that. But there are a few words that are very hard. Sorry. So yes, this is the part in which you empathize with your users, and then with different users if it's possible, and then start like to classify that data that you are gathering to find insights about what is actually useful from all that information that you gathered before, and you start to deducing opportunities on what should be focusing on. And you will end this phase in just making like clear definition of a problem statement, or just a how might we question. How might we build something for standing up this cup of tea? No? So how might we question are very clear and specific questions that define a problem that you should be focusing on, a problem that you want to solve. Then after we have this how might we question, and we have this clear definition of problems, that is the moment in which we start to diverge our thinking again, and you start in an ideation mode, just brainstorming idea, adding stuff, asking people how they think they should be tackling a specific problem, and so on. A lot of ideas, a lot of everything. So boom, diverging again. Here is the phase in which there are no good nor bad questions. Everything is welcome. We are not judging. We are not judging when we are ideating. Okay. Instead, when after we finished it and we want to start, okay, we have a lot of ideas, so let's converge those. No, let's define in a very specific way what we want to do. And I'm going to present like a lot of examples of activities for each one of these phases. Please look here in the top of the right corner. There is this graph here which defines more or less in which of these phases we are. Are we discovering, defining, developing, or delivering? So this is the classic. Start with why. Start with defining a purpose. What is bringing you together here? Why? Why is a very deep and important questions that in this kind of phases is always useful, because more whys you ask, more information that you will be gathering. One thing that I like to start with is to breaking down your angers, your frustration. What is going wrong? Okay, just take that as opportunity as an opportunity to express it all. Doesn't matter, just go it, throw it out. Just because of the money? Well, I don't know. If you do something because of the money, then just because of the money, depending of the context, depending of, I don't know, maybe if you are in a DeFi mode in decentralized finance, it could have sense that you just do things because of the money. Maybe you are not anger. Maybe just are ambitious and want tons of money. It is wrong, or is it right? I won't judge. It's up to you guys. Money is sexy. People like money, so is also, but could be also about no. I don't know. Depends of anything else, of each one, of course. So also very important, and especially when we are in this discovery phase, adopt a beginner's mind. Try to extrapolate yourself from all the things that you know, because most of the time when we know too much, we prevent ourselves of knowing other things that we don't know, because we are just, I don't know, we're proud, we think we are the experts in this area, and this is usually when you are missing something. So be careful and try as much as you can to adopt a beginner's mind. This is easy to say, this is very easy to ask. It's not that easy to do. But if you just try to be conscious and just try to, okay, I might be wrong about this, and allow yourself to be open to that possibility, it's very likely that you will be gathering new and insightful information. This is also when we are starting to do a design process. it's important that we define some design principles, and we share those with our team. What are our values? What are our priorities? This is important because in the times of conflict, and there might be conflict during a design periods, this is like a source of truth. This is your oracle in the design phase, your design principles, because you always go to them, and it will help you out to take decisions. This is just an example. I'm not reading this. Start with needs, do less. Okay. These are just examples. These are other examples of design principle itself. But this is just an example. Okay, when you go to your team, you need to decide what are your own design principles. This is just a recommendation. It's not, I mean, you do it if you like it, you don't do it if you don't. But at some moments it may be helpful when we are a little bit lost. So you remember what was your starting point, and it will be easy to move on. Empathy map. Again, this is in the discovery phase. This is just to go to the user, the market that we are tackling. What type of user are these guys? And we start to ask a lot of questions about that user. If we want to build a product for these guys, we need to know who these guys are. So if you have the information about these guys, so cool, start populating this. Again, use some post-its. If you are on a digital board, well, use digital post-its and start, well, this guy is hearing this about this challenge, about this idea, about this problem. They are seeing this, they are saying that, and all of that. More important, what are the pains? What are their fears, frustration, and anxieties about the challenge? And what are their gains? What they can achieve if we help them to solve the challenge? What they want? What are their hopes and dreams regarding this? If you are facing this phase and you are finding awful insights, and you're discovering that the things that you assumed before are not as you think, that's very good, because you are learning something, because this is an opportunity to pivot your ideas before you start working on the wrong thing. So don't be scared about being wrong about your ideas. The best that will happen to you in the design phase is that you discover that your ideas sucked, and that there will be better ideas out there. Thanks for this dynamics work that we are doing. This is a very well-known technique, the five whys. When you have a problem, when you have a challenge, you just ask yourself why you have that problem. To that answer, then you ask again a why, and so on and so on and so on, and you start like breaking down what are the root cause of that problem. So this is just a way to help you to focus on the right problem, because maybe when you do this, well, you run through a red light in the morning going to your work. Well, and you want to solve that problem. What do? You just break down that light from the street? No, you wait a second. But why you were running that night? Well, because I was late for work. Well, and why you were late for work? Well, I woke up late. And why? Because my alarm clock broke. And why? Because I didn't check if it worked. And why? Because I forgot to do it last night. So instead of going to the street and taking down that light, dude, you just watch your wall phone, and the last night just remember to configure your alarm clock. This is an expansion. The fishbone diagram is kind of an expansion of this 5 whys dynamic, in which you break down that problem into different categories. Okay, again, this was not a guy that was late for work, but a project that got late in their schedule. Well, why we got delayed in that schedule? Well, there are several factors. We have the people factor, we have the equipment factor, the pure estimation factor, and too many changes around factor. So let's analyze those one by one. And you start again doing the whys. You don't need to do the 5 whys, but maybe 2 or 3 will be cool. Or if you see the opportunity to do even more, then you go and do it. Yeah, in the affinity diagram is, after you start populating with ideas and so on about what could be and the different kind of challenges that you have around, and you will produce a lot of tons of mixed information. So with affinity diagram, you just need to order somehow the stuff that you're doing, that classify the different things according to your case, and because this will be more easily to your mind to understand what you're facing. This is just way to do it. I don't know, this is just a conceptual thing, but there are also digital boards that will help you out to classify that and so on. Sometimes you will find that you have some specific cases that belong to different categories, so you just go around. And the inside cards. The inside cards is at the end of our definition part. We will be gathering these insights. Insights are valuable pieces of information that you are taking from the last 2 phases, from the expansion and the definition one, from the discovery and the definition one. So you just need to give it a title to that. Also give it a number is useful, because then when you look back and you want to talk about with your team about a specific thing, so numbers is helpful to tell people what you're talking about, right? And it's important to give it a title, to give it a theme, what kind of category is belonging to. State down some facts, okay, that you have learned to this process. What is the source of that information? And if that is not a fact, but still you need some pieces of information that you haven't retrieved, or you were not allowed to retrieve from your market because maybe you don't have direct access to your users. This may be. It's okay also to write down assumptions. Okay, assumptions are kind of facts that are not facts per se, because you haven't verified that those are facts. But if you're writing down assumptions here, please make it like very big and say, guys, this is an assumption. This is not a fact yet, but since we need to start from some information, well, this is it. But be aware that it may be or not be true. And again, from all these insights, have the discussion with your team. Try to understand what are the opportunity areas, depending on this is also depending on your team expertise. If you, I don't know, if you are from the different sites that you get, or you discover one about the illness, then this is a silly example, okay? People are becoming ill out of, I don't know, a specific user interface or whatsoever. Oh, look, we have a doctor in our team, so maybe this is an opportunity for us. If people are ill and we have a doctor, cool, maybe we have something here to offer. Or maybe it's because of some contacts that you have of your networking, or the skills or the team that you have. So try to identify what is an opportunity for your team, because if you focus on that, you also will be maximizing of delivering a quality product. And the how might we questions. Again, how might we is we need to synthesize very well after we gather these insights, and we gather and we deduce opportunity if we do, and you identify very key and different problems. So then you need to synthesize how might we. Sorry, you need to synthesize in the form of the how might we question. This will be very clear and defined problems that are really asking your team, how might we solve this? How might we prevent people to become ill out of this specific user interface? So when you are writing down how might we questions, try to provide as much as information as you can. And if you need to link that to a specific insight, well, try to use the number of the insight, because that also will be useful for the team. So these first techniques and tools that I'm sharing are belonging to this first diamond here. Okay, starting from we don't know what is the problem here they want to solve, to defining very specific how might we question. We will enter then in the ideation phase. Any questions so far here? Are you guys still there, or I'm talking by myself? Hello?
Hello. People here, but seems that they are a bit shy.
I don't know. I hope that I'm keeping your interest, guys, or I don't know. You tell me. Oh, there are more people here than when we started, which means that I'm going. Okay, so I'm going to continue if there are no questions. That's okay?
Sure.
Cool. So brainstorm. Everybody knows about brainstorms. What a brainstorm is, well, a group of people just get together and start throwing out ideas about what? About the how my we question. This is important. This is the important part of why to define this. So when you're doing brainstorming session, try to avoid to do it in a craziness and just throwing ideas. Oh no, I just want to build a boat. No, I just want to build a cup. And no, I just want to build a pen or whatever. No. That's a tremendous way of losing a lot of effort. Focus on one, how might we question, and make everyone work on that. If you can do it visual with post-its and you're in the same room, cool. If not, you can do it in a Discord channel, in a Zoom meeting, with a document behind and someone writing down the different ideas that are becoming brainstorm. When you're doing brainstorm, there are some rules that you need to follow. Okay, brainstorm is not something that you do with no rules and with no coordination and all. No, one conversation at the time. Go for quantity. Okay, doesn't matter if the ideas that are coming to your mind are absurd and you don't want the other guys to look at your absurd idea. No, absurd is good here. You need to go for quantity as much as you can be. The first thing that is coming to your mind, even if it doesn't have sense, throw it out, write it down, put it in your board. Try it to be a headline, okay? Don't write down a paragraph or anything like that. You can also allow yourself to build your ideas on top of others. Okay, this is also very, very, very useful because that is the team working together and complementing the ideas on the others. This is why we don't care about absurd question, because maybe an absurd question that I throw out will trigger a very good question in another guy. So boom, go for that, stuff like that. Encourage well ideas. I already talked about that. Stay on topic, again, one conversation at a time. And please don't judge, don't block yourself first, and don't occur to you to block other guys. Okay, don't do that. Everyone is easy just to throw out any kind of idea, even if it seems like bullshit at the very beginning. It could be at the end of the day, but we will discard them if that idea is worthless, of course. But more important, take your time. Decide your time for each one of those topics. Usually 2 or 3 minutes is more than okay, but it's important for you guys to put your time. And if you have some kind of people taking a nasty time, taking trace of the time and remember you guys and pushing you up to hurry up and more ideas, that's okay, because that will also force your brain to throw out whatever things are coming. You don't need to go for qualitative ideas. Again, go more for quantity than quality. Mind maps is also another good method to follow when you are already working around how might we question. So put your topic at the beginning and start defining the different branch that will go out of there. If you have people doing very nice drawing in your team, so even better, go for it. And after you have this brainstorming and you have this visual board in which you're placing all those ideas that you wrote down before, it's very cool to have some dot voting among your team. What dot voting is? Well, you give dots to each one of your team members, 3 dots, 5 dots, 10 dots, okay, depending of the amount of ideas that you will have on your board. And then you make each of them to vote on the things that they think it's a good idea to solve that problem that we defined before. This will help you out to define priorities. Okay. One point: if you have one expert in your team about the idea, one kind of sort of product lead or sort of people with more information than the rest about this is a specific problem, it's okay to relay some trust on them. It's okay to give this guy even more dot votings, or it's okay just to, I don't know, depending of the dynamics, depending of the teams, it may be also useful to give that responsibility to just the expert of that area, and so on. It depends. Usually this guy is more like for sharing and for giving more knowledge about to the team about this specific thing that we're talking about, but it's self-organization a little bit. No, try to identify and acknowledge who knows the most about the specific thing that you are willing to solve, and trust him. It's very important to build some trust within the team. So another way of selecting these ideas that we created before is with this matrix with 2 axes. Okay, in the horizontal axis we can put what is more desirable or valuable for not only for us but also for our market. Of course, the more valuable will be for our market will be more valuable for us at the end of the day. So in this part, we are talking about human values and business needs, while in the vertical axis, let's try to define how much feasible or viable is actually this solution. Feasible in a technical way, or also viable in a business way, because maybe we can do this stuff, but this will cost us so much and we just can't. So that won't be very valuable for us.
Well, in this case, gas prices will help. Sorry.
Yeah, for example, yeah. If you want to do stuff on Ethereum, you'd say no, this is not viable at all, and everything will go down the graph. Thanks for the example. Yeah, give me more examples, guys. Totally. And
what about let's say if we wanted to make an integration with an app that's already existing, like let's say Uber and whatnot, do you think that we would run into legal issues?
I'm not a legal expert. I don't have an idea, but this is something to place here. Okay, if you have some expert in your team that have sort kind of an approximation of an answer to that, you will place that on the top, on the down, on the middle, in between the two of that. This is also to place here. So what will be the areas to focus? The areas to focus will be, of course, in the top right, because the more valuable the thing that you will do, the better. The more feasible, the better, to some point, because if you're talking about something that is already feasible and it's already viable and is valuable and desirable by your market, it's probably done already. It's probably done by someone else. Okay, but maybe it's not. Maybe you are just discovering new things because you passed through a very insightful discovery phase to a new market because you have a new tool or whatsoever. So this is important to consider about. But if you also find things that are desirable and valuable but not that feasible, this is also another thing interesting, because if somehow you have an expert within your team that start thinking about, well, maybe, yeah, this is not feasible at the moment, but maybe we can work it out. Things from the down right corner to focus, it's could be very cool. Of course, more difficult, but will be for sure more innovative and will bring more value to the market and the business you're approaching.
Okay, thank you very much.
Cool. Another way to select ideas is just bingo. You just identify one thing and you just forgot about all this, and you say, guys, what are we doing here? Okay, this may depend also on the challenge that you guys are approaching. Maybe nothing of all of this that I'm talking about will be needed if something is already obvious for the team and it's not there in the market, and you already know that it's valuable, and look, oh, boom, eureka, bingo idea, let's do that, and so on. Business model canvas. This is also something that is very useful to keep in mind. Maybe not for this kind of hackathons, but this will also help you to understand the feasibilities and to be sure that from the business perspective, you will be like targeting what are the different things that you will need to focus on and to select or to realize if you are actually resourceful to do all of that, or maybe you are lacking a lot of things to do. This depends of the objective of the team. If you guys want to be very serious and you want to propose the aeternity ecosystem, like, guys, you need to move with this, and you want to do a business and a project out of that, a business model canvas is the first things that you need to do for start pitching and even like fundraising about your idea. But this is more for a post-hackathon phase. But if you want to do this during the hackathon phase, just to have an idea, and again, just to help out during the pitch of your prototype of your product, it's cool to have it. And token model canvas. So yes, this is just a model from this guy, which is called Just Lafru. Is a model out of a lot, in which you have like 4 different dimensions that you will start like to populate what you want to achieve from each one of those. Ledger layer means what you need from your infrastructure. Okay, this is technical stuff. This is something that if you want to build things on Aeternity, you need to make sure that Aeternity will provide you that if in case you're building a token for an Oracle model or whatsoever. You need to define value proposition, the behaviors that you want to improve, the behaviors that you want to avoid, what kind of mechanisms you are proposing to put there, and of course the usage of this token. Don't forget about the utility of the token. And I think we are already ending this part about product design. The user story. The user story is the trigger for, I call this a trigger for a dev. Okay, when you build up a user story in which you have 3 components: a user, a user type, what kind of user is this? Is this an admin? Is this a final user? Is this a business user? Okay, that user wants to achieve something. What is that they want to achieve? Okay, usually when devs talk about user stories, they forgot about the value statement. Okay, they just tell you, well, as an admin, I can to access the administration page. Okay, cool. But so that you need to define that value statement, because that will give more information to the developer about why this admin will use that administration page. Of course, in this silly example, sorry, because my mind just can't give you guys silly examples. I'm not very good about sharing good examples. Sorry about that. There is a virus out there. I don't know if you heard it. And then select just some acceptance criteria. What are the things that you want? Thanks God that I prepared an example here. So as a token holder, I can redeem my tokens so that I retrieve some aeternity tokens from the collateral contract. Okay, this is something. Here we are talking about an exchange somehow. Maybe this is some kind of automatic market maker. I don't know, or seems more like a bounding curve to me. Yes, I don't know if you're familiar with that. If not, well, we can talk about hours about it. So the acceptance criteria of that user story are that tokens that are redeemed get burned, and corresponding amount of aeternity tokens get transferred to the other collateral, because that is the outcome of that user story that we want to achieve. There are the acceptance criteria in which I can validate that this user story is fulfilled. And user journey mapping. This is when, after we this last pieces is probably the most important for designing at the time of a hackathon, because it will map out all the things that you will focus to work on during your hackathon here. So usually you are not having only one user experience or user story. You have more than one. How these user stories are related in this whole scenario. What is the description of the scenario? What are the goals of the expectations? What are the different phases and user stories of that? What are the opportunities among each these of user stories? And of course, who define who's the owner of each one of these? No, because if you are selecting like 3 or 4 user stories for that, and you are 5 or 4 hackers, I don't know, in order to split the work, give ownership to over each one of these user story to one of your teammates, okay, and work together as hackers. If you are experienced hackers, you know very well, very more than me, how to work together among hackers. But it's important that you define ownership over each of these user stories that you will be building. This is another way to map the user journey. Of course, this is for a very complex product. And don't be afraid of imposing constraints when you are already defining this. Have the conversation. What are the constraints about each one of those? Make that as a user story owner. Ask the other people what they think. Be yourself the one that is building constraint. Ask anyone else to impose some constraint of you, and have that conversation, because for each constraint there will be some idea to solve that. Prototyping, well, Figma is a really nice tool for prototyping. I share this because this is the one that I know and they know how to use, but if you know another one, use that. And remember, when we are hacking, we are building a minimum viable product. We won't deliver the whole thing. Even if we went to a whole design thinking phase and we ended in a very complex product or product definition like this one. This is user journey mappers, in which you then will be delivering components and features and so on. Focus, because remember that you need to work iteration by iteration, and usually in a hackathon you will want to deliver one full iteration. So don't focus only to make it functional and just to deliver the functional part of your product, because that is not what the user wants. The user wants a complete product. Okay, the user wants it to be functional, reliable, that he can use it, and of course he can be delightful of using it. He's having a nice user experience. Yes, there's a question, or just background noise? I think it's the second. If you want to go mute yourself, I will thanks that.
I did have a question I put in chat. I don't know if you can hear me.
No, yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, perfect. I was curious. You were talking about some of the user stories, and you were showing off the acceptance criteria. For our definition of done, we usually like to add test cases to our project and make sure that we passed our testing suite. Is there any sort of testing framework available for the SDK that you recommend?
You got me there. No.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sorry about it. So yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows about what an MVP is, and be sure that you are building for each of that, and it will be usable, and you are also delivering a quite well user experience out of that. The per sprint, no, I won't focus on this. Sorry. So yes. Oh, it's already late. It's 1 hour and a half already. But cool. I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. It has been fun for me as well. So let's dig a little bit into ecosystems. We are facing an era of ecosystems building. Can you go on mute, please? Because I'm hearing some background noise. Thank you. Okay, we're very used to go for business models. We want to deliver a product that people use and people pay for that. If not the people that pay for that, maybe other people pay for that. If not the direct user, there will be some kind of client that will pay me for having those users accessing to my platform, and maybe they will pay me for another kind of service that I do for them. This is the very classic centralized Facebook model or Uber or whatever. With blockchain, we have the opportunity to go to economics models, to deliver something for a broader space, to interact different stakeholders among them, and even if there is not a business model out of that, just the network effect that creates around and that purpose will be valuable itself. The best example is always Bitcoin. Bitcoin has not business model at all. Bitcoin is an economic model. So we have the opportunity to go beyond Bitcoin and build also other kind of economics models. We are in a paradigm change. It's not about me. It's not about the CEO of the company. It's about community. It's about distribution. It's about sharing and being open. It's about improving collaboration. Okay. When we are designing ecosystems, when we are designing tokens, this is coming from the Token Engineering Academy. It's important that we pass through different phases. Okay, we start by designing, but we also need to model the design that we made before. If we are making a model for some kind of society, for some kind of community, we need to represent that model in the digital, emulate that somehow. Use tools for simulating and verifying, but maybe this is a little bit out of scope of this hackathon today. Before we launch into implementation and operation, of course. The ecosystem designer always will start by purpose. We need to know why we are here, what kind of objective or vision we want to achieve together as an ecosystem, as a community. Purpose, a clear definition of purpose is very important. How do we define a purpose of an idea, of an ecosystem? Well, first of all, we need to be aware of our environment, when we are, where we are, who are the partners, what are the behaviors that these guys are having, what are the capabilities that these guys that we will be including have, what are the values, the belief, the identity that we can have as a community, as a group. All of that will be emerging in a purpose. What is the vision? Why we are here? What we want to achieve? Okay. After we have a purpose, we need to start. Let's see. Okay, this is just a map for placing there some stakeholders. Stakeholders are people that have something to do with the purpose that we are defining here. Who are the most closely aligning members? What are the sponsoring members here? We will be paying for that. Who will be benefiting out of that? Who will be neutral? Who will be opposite to that? Let's map all of that here. Let's define a stakeholder per stakeholder. Important things to define, well, a name, identification. How do we call these guys? What are the characteristics of them? Are there individuals or are there like groups of people? What are the contributions that they do or might do to the system? What are the motivations to be here? What kind of things made them to be aligned with that purpose? Motivation matrix is after we define several stakeholders of our ecosystem. Let's go for Bitcoin, for example. In Bitcoin, what kind of stakeholders do we have? Who helps me out here? We have miners. Who else do we have? Nothing. Developers, another kind of stakeholder of Bitcoin. Who else? Exchanges, users. Right now, we have institutions all out of Bitcoin. Okay. Here we need to define who gives to what. Okay. Why they give that, and we start to building up that matrix. Why do we do that? We will see that. Then the stakeholder stories. This is like the user stories, but here we are talking about interactions and exchange of value among different actors. What kind of actors they have, the motivation, again, the underlying assumptions. When we are designing things, we don't have ideas. I don't know, for example, if you guys were familiar with this stable coin called Fei that they launched this past week over Ethereum, that they gathered together like 2 billions for this kind of algorithmic stable coin. They made out this coin out of the assumption that if you have some Fei in the game and you want to sell that, of course we all know that if you sell an asset, it will decrease its value. So they created counter incentive for people to not sell the Fei. What happened? That yes, they created penalization. If you sell your Fei, will be penalize you with, I don't know, 20-30% of the price, something like that. And they assumed that this will prevent people to sell this. But this didn't work. These people start selling, and this created more fear, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And people out there starting selling even more, even if they knew that they will be penalized by the selling contract. So that was an underlying assumption that they made, that at the end of the story it was counter-validated. It was not that okay. It's a shame that they didn't model this system beforehand. They didn't use simulation tools for do that, because maybe if they would, that disaster wouldn't happen. Not right now. We have a stable coin there that is valued under 30% of their nominal value, for example. So show me an incentive and I will show you the outcome. The blockchain community usually understand that blockchains can help and align incentives among a tribe of token holders. These people are people with skin in the game somehow, but the benefits is actually more general than simply aligning incentive. You can design incentive for your choosing by giving them block rewards, for example, but you can put it also in another way. You can get people to do stuff by rewarding them with tokens. Blockchains are incentive machines. We have powerful tools in our hands. I'm quoting Peter Parker from Spider-Man. Well, this is actually the uncle of Peter Parker. This was not coming from him. Big powers creates great responsibility. So let's also be responsible about what we are doing when we are designing incentive. DAO, I don't know what I'm talking about. DAOs here, doesn't matter. So coming again to our ecosystem design toolkit, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the stock and flow models. Let me see if I put it here. With the stock and flow models, out of that work that you did for defining your stakeholders and your motivation, your matrix and so on, and the stakeholder stories, you start defining like stocks. Stocks is something that represents the accumulation of something valuable, the accumulation of some kind of resources, or the store, rather than accumulation, the store of some kind of resources, while the flow is the transfer of these resources from one part to the other. While policies are more things regarding governance. When you are defining these stakeholders' stories, you will be realizing that there are some check controls that you need to put there somehow. People need to take, the system needs to take decisions according to certain kinds of behavior of not. An example of the policy was the thing that I was talking about Faye before, right? If people sell, then these guys will be penalized by the protocol. That is a protocol. That is a policy. It came out that it was a shitty policy, but it was a policy in any case. And also try to define what kind of environmental processes are there, what kind of variables that you can't control that can came from the outside of your ecosystem. Define it also there. So this is an example of community closed currencies stock and flow model, in which these are just people building up a currency out of some collateral and some commitment that they put to accept within their community this community currency. So how is this created? Well, in this case, people are willing to mint new currency. Well, they want to mint new currency, cool. If they want to mint new currency, then they go to the bonding smart contract, in which they will take that XDAI. This is an example of the XDAI chain. They will take some XDAI and put it here in this XDAI reserve, while it will send out to this another stock, which is the supplying this community token. Another policy, well, you mint that thing, and you start to defining this kind of iteration with that. I understand that this image is a little bit complex, but if you guys, if for any case any of you are willing to build some kind of ecosystem for I don't know, for a subjective oracle, incentivized subjective oracle, in which you have different kind of parties or stakeholders working around this process. Don't worry about this. This is an example of a case that you have no idea. So if you don't know that case, you won't understand this graphic here. But when you do your own, this will help you out better to define the benefits and to start having that discussions about the incentive. Sorry, not the benefit, the incentive that you should be working on. And yeah, this is just one last thing from something that I just wanted to share, because usually people a lot think about having the decentralization as a flag, as a priority, as always being the decentralization or nothing. This is just willing to share some kind of other perspective about it, that maybe we shouldn't, okay, this is just an approach. Maybe we shouldn't care about decentralizing all of it from the very beginning, okay? If we are a centralized team, if we are discovering very specific needs, and if we are willing to build a product out of that, well, focus on your product. Focus on your product. Focus on finding that product market fit that we talked about before. Validate that what you're building is something that people want. And after that, you start building a community around your product. You start focusing more on the documentations. You need to document very well when you want to decentralize the product management of what you're delivering. You want also to start creating incentive, looking ways to engage in more and more community members around your product. And after you do that, you start to look forward to transferring ownership to your community. And once that you transfer ownership to your community, things will be more decentralized, and things will be more fair and more fair and more valuable and distributed for everyone. And we won't have any Facebook, any Mark Zuckerberg extracting value from users, but we will have community of people that thinks they have ownership of their stuff. They will be more engaged with your product, and they will be your best providers, your best customers, and your best shareholders, of course. So yeah, this was all from my side, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this presentation. I hope that it was not very boring for you guys. So I don't know, you want to talk a little bit, ask some questions? Whoa, I see a lot of text questions here. Of course, I haven't followed any of these, but I'm here for you for some minutes if you want.
Thanks a lot, Gus. It has been awesome. As usual, we have enjoyed the masterclass about not only product design, but also ecosystem design. And I think that will be very valuable for the hack. Do you have, guys, any concrete question or any comment or feedback for Gus? Now it's the moment.
I would like to hear a little bit of what kind of things people are having in mind that they would like to build, if someone is willing to share.
That would be awesome.
There's an idea from Gyan, who couldn't participate today, but she asked me to represent or to pitch her ideas to find possible teammates. But in any case, we will also do this on the Discord channel, because we have a channel for team building and for project ideas. The idea is to build a bridge between AX9 and ERC20 so that folk can easily move their ERC20 to AX9 and use the advantages offered by the Eternity blockchain. The basic architecture in this case would consist of 3 main elements: 2 bridge smart contracts, one on Ethereum side and one on Sophia side, and 1 bridge API that would continuously monitor the requests coming in on either side. For more details, please contact Gyan on Discord. She can program both Sophia and Solidity, and she's looking for someone with front-end experience. Yeah, I will just paste that comment here in the chat again.
Really nice idea and approach from Gyan.
AEX is the standard from the...
Yeah, it's the fungible tokens standard on Aeternity.
Cool. Seems very, very excited. This is, yeah, here is...
The problem exists. That's a good point.
But this is very technical at the end of the day. I mean, the problem is already there. I will start by the HIMA we directly. Start to populating, to make brainstorming about how my we's try to identify the different technical challenges that are there. As people, not only about the bridge technologies from the Eternity side, but also for the Ethereum side. If you want this bridge nodes to be incentivized somehow. If you need some extra effort from people to maintain those nodes, you need third-party nodes. You don't need those. If in case you need to create incentive for maintaining that. That are the questions that are coming to my mind.
Well, it seems it's Friday and people is a bit, I don't know, it's shy or tired. I always say that this silence is marking the wrap up of a webinar or a call or an event. So Gus, amazing as usual. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience and giving such valuable tips for the participants. Also for myself, I have learned a lot and enjoyed. And remember that next Monday, we have a nice weekend to have a little bit of rest. And next Monday, we have an open session to solve any question, any technical question you might have to start building your projects with Omar and Nikita from the Eternity team. And next Friday, for all of you that still did not succeed in finding a team or getting together, Gus will be leading a decentralized team building dynamic. Very funny. I recommend everyone, and mostly the ones who participate on next Friday, so you can join with mind-alike people which have who are not only complementary in the skills, but also in the interests, concerns, and purposes to make sure, and Gus is an expert in doing that, to align the best team possible to achieve the best and meaningful solutions possible. So that's all for today. Wish you a very nice weekend and very grateful for you all to have your attention in this product design session and in the Akshwani Hæck in general. And yeah, let's continue rocking.
Thank you everyone for joining.